Unbelievable. Wonder Woman's reaction pretty much sums up this whole first issue of Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah, that's our deep dive today. Justice League Unlimited #1.
So we're jumping right into a world?
It's a big one.
It is a big one, right?
Yeah.
Like even bigger than usual?
Yeah, this is like the Justice League.
Unlimited.
Unlimited.
So it's like everyone.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's not everyone, but it's a lot.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of people.
Yeah, so it starts off with this really interesting premise where Darkseid is dead.
Right.
So there's like this power vacuum, like the biggest bad is gone.
Right.
And the world is kind of like, oh, we need heroes now more than ever.
More than ever.
Right.
But how do you even have a Justice League with this many people?
Right. How do you manage that?
Yeah. How does that even work?
So we get to see that through the eyes of Airwave, who's like a relatively new hero.
Right.
And he's joining the Justice League for the first time. So he's like walking through the Watchtower, which is like their headquarters in space.
Right.
And he's just like overwhelmed.
It's amazing to see it from his perspective.
Yeah.
Because we get to see like all these different levels.
You know, it's a city in space.
It's a city in space, right?
That's
huge.
Yeah. It's got like all these different sectors.
Right. And they have like all these different like areas like specialized for the heroes.
Like specialized labs and training areas and all. And
Yeah.
then we jump right into the action.
Oh, yeah. So
With a distress call.
from South Africa,
Yeah.
where Superman and Wonder Woman.
And a whole team of heroes.
Yeah, whole team. They show up and there's this like robot
Oh,
attack.
this mining town.
And it's like intense.
Oh, yeah. Like buildings are exploding. There's like robots everywhere.
It feels like a disaster movie, but with superheroes.
And it's cool because like even Superman is struggling with these robots.
Yeah, you can tell they're not like normal robots.
Yeah, they're like super durable and...
They seem like they're made of something different.
Yeah, for sure.
And we get to see the heroes having to like team up.
Yeah.
And use their powers in like creative ways to take these robots down.
Like Black Lightning and Star Sapphire are teaming up.
Right.
And it's like this really cool combination of powers.
And you can really see how the Justice League, like their diversity,
yes,
is actually like a strength.
absolutely.
Right. But
Wait,
then
Airwave.
makes a discovery.
Yeah, he discovers that something's off about these robots.
Yeah, and he figures it out because he's fighting them.
Right.
And he's like, wait a minute.
My powers aren't working the way they should.
Right.
Something's interfering with them.
And he realizes
That they're not being piloted.
they're autonomous.
Yeah, like AI-controlled robots.
Which raises all sorts of questions like, who made these things?
Right, where do they come from?
What's their purpose?
Like, what are they really after?
This is a huge twist. I did not see that coming.
It's a good one?
It's a good one.
Yeah.
And it really makes Airwave like a bigger part of the story.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not just about like the big names, you know?
He's not just there to be impressed by Superman.
Right.
He's actually contributing something important.
Right.
Yeah.
But then, while all this is happening in South Africa, we also cut to...
The jungles of Costa Rica,
Yes.
where Batman and Blue Beetle are investigating.
Missing children.
Yeah, reports of missing children.
And it's very like mysterious and eerie.
Yeah, it's like a totally different vibe from South Africa.
But also unsettling.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Really unsettling.
Yeah, and they encountered these creatures.
Yeah, they're creepy.
They're like parademons,
But different.
but like darker and weirder.
Yeah, it's hard to describe, but they're definitely not friendly.
Yeah, they're definitely bad news.
And it's clear that they're connected to the missing children.
Yeah, that's not a good sign.
So now we have like two major mysteries.
Two big threads going on.
Yes.
Yes.
Who's behind these robots in South Africa?
Right.
And what is going on with these creatures in Costa Rica?
And how are they connected? If you're loving this deep dive and want to explore even more of the DC universe, make sure to subscribe to Cosmic Comic Clips.
It's a great time to do it.
It is.
We'd love to have you join us.
Yeah.
So we have a Justice League trying to figure out how to function with like 1 million members.
Right.
We have this mysterious organization called Inferno who are behind the robots.
Yeah.
We have these creepy parademon-like creatures.
And we have Airwave with his powers going kind of haywire.
It's a lot.
It is a lot to unpack.
It's a-
This is a big issue.
It's a big issue.
But it's a good one.
It's a good word.
Yeah, it's a really strong start to this new series.
I can't wait to see where it goes from here.
Me too.
Yeah, this is going to be fun.
It is.
Okay, so we left off with a lot of questions.
Oh, yeah, a lot of threads hanging.
Yeah, and the Justice League is dealing with two very different threats at the same time.
Like two completely different problems.
But they're both big problems.
Yeah, for sure.
And we start to see how these two things might actually be connected.
Right, like they're not just random events.
I mean,
There's something bigger going on.
So first, let's go back to South Africa.
where the Justice League is wrapping up the fight with those robots.
Right. But Inferno, the organization behind the robot,
They're not giving up. No, they are not.
they're still trying to get those robots back.
Which is interesting because you would think they would just cut their losses and run.
Right. You'd think they would just abandon the mission.
Yeah, but they're not. They're like really determined to recover those robots.
Like it's more important than anything else.
And it makes you wonder what's so special about these robots.
Yeah, what's so important about them that they're willing to risk everything to get them back?
So while the Justice League is dealing with that in South Africa,
We cut back to Costa Rica.
where things are getting really weird,
Oh, yeah, like even weirder than before.
Batman and Blue Beetle, they're following the trail of those creatures.
And they're finding more and more evidence that something really bad has happened.
Like really, really bad.
They find out that the creatures, they're connected to those missing children.
Yeah, and it's not just that they're connected to them.
It's worse
They're transforming the children.
into those creatures.
Yeah, it's like they're turning them into these weird zombie-like beings.
Oh, it's creepy.
Yeah, it's like straight out of a horror movie.
It's like this whole other level of messed up.
And it really highlights the contrast between the two threats.
Right, you have Inferno, who's all about technology and strategy.
And then you have these creatures who are like this primal force of nature.
It's like two completely different types of evil.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder how the Justice League is going to handle both of them at the same time.
A lot for one team to deal with.
Especially a team that's still trying to figure out how to work together.
Yeah, and speaking of the team.
We get to see a lot of the individual heroes struggling with their own personal issues.
Yeah, like Airwave.
He's really having a hard time fitting in.
I mean, it can't be easy joining a team full of legends.
Yeah, he's surrounded by Superman and Wonder Woman and all these other heavy hitters.
And he's just like this guy who can control electromagnetic energy.
He's probably feeling a little inadequate.
Like maybe he doesn't even belong there.
But we saw how powerful his powers can be in South Africa.
He was taking down those robots left and right.
He was really holding his own.
Yeah, but then he pushed himself too far.
And now he's having these weird visions.
Yeah, and they're clearly connected to his powers somehow.
But we don't know what they mean.
It's like he's tapping into something bigger than himself.
Like another dimension or something.
Yeah, it's really freaky.
And it makes you wonder what role he's going to play in all of this.
It's like he's not just a rookie anymore.
He's becoming a key part of the story.
Yeah.
And it makes you think about the whole idea of Justice League Unlimited.
Right. Like, is it even a good idea to have a team with this many heroes?
On the one hand, it's like this incredible force for good.
Right. They have so much power.
But on the other hand,
It could be really dangerous.
like what if they make a mistake?
What if they can't control all that power?
Or what if they start fighting amongst themselves?
It's a lot of potential for things to go wrong.
Yeah, and this issue really starts to explore those possibilities.
And it's not just about Airwave and his powers.
Right.
We see other heroes struggling with their own doubts and fears.
Like even Superman and Wonder Woman are starting to question things.
It's like this whole new era for the Justice League.
And they're not sure if they're ready for it.
It's a lot of pressure,
It is.
but it's also really exciting.
Yeah, it's like anything could happen.
Exactly. And that's what makes this issue so good.
It's unpredictable.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen next.
And it keeps you guessing.
So if you're enjoying this conversation and want to hear more about the crazy world of comics, make sure to subscribe to Cosmic Comic Clips.
We have tons of deep dives and other fun stuff waiting for you.
It's the best way to stay up to date on all things comics.
We'd love to have you join us.
So back to the story.
Okay.
The Justice League is still dealing with the aftermath of the battle in South Africa.
And they're trying to figure out what Inferno is really up to.
And they make a pretty big discovery.
Yeah, they find out that those robots...
They were made from this super rare alloy.
And it's not just any alloy.
No, it has this crazy property.
It disrupt metahuman powers.
Like it can weaken or even nullify superpowers.
Yeah, which is a huge problem when you're facing the Justice League.
It's like their worst nightmare.
It's like kryptonite for the entire team.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder,
What is Inferno planning to do with this stuff?
yeah, do they have like a master plan?
Are they going to try to take down the entire Justice League?
Or are they just collecting it as a precaution?
Like, just in case they need to defend themselves?
It's hard to say, but it's definitely not good.
No, it's definitely a cause for concern.
So while all of this is happening with Inferno,
Batman and Blue Beetle are still in Costa Rica.
and they're getting closer to the truth about those creatures,
They find this hidden chamber.
like an ancient temple or something.
And it's clear that this is where the creatures come from.
And it's also where they're taking the children.
Yeah, and we get to see what's happening to them.
It's not pretty.
Oh, it's pretty messed up.
They're being transformed.
Their bodies are changing.
Their eyes are glowing.
They're like shells of their former selves.
It's really disturbing.
And it makes you realize that these creatures are more than just monsters.
There's something else entirely.
Something ancient and evil.
And Batman is starting to figure it out.
He's putting the pieces together.
But it might be too late.
Yeah, because these creatures...
They're spreading.
And they're not going to stop until they've taken over the whole world.
It's a race against time.
And the Justice League...
It might not be enough to stop it.
It's a pretty bleak situation.
But hey, that's what makes it a good story, right?
Yeah, conflict is what drives a narrative.
Exactly. So stay tuned for the thrilling conclusion of our deep dive into Justice League Unlimited #1.
We're about to get into the really good stuff.
It's going to be epic.
Oh, yeah.
So that ending of part 2.
Wow. Talk about a game changer.
It's like everything we thought we knew about this story just got flipped on its head.
It's like all these separate pieces suddenly clicked into place.
And now we realize it's not just 2 separate threats. It's like one giant mess.
All because of Airwave.
Right, like
Yeah.
he accidentally opened up this portal to another dimension.
And now these creatures are pouring through.
It's no longer just a problem in Costa Rica. This is a global crisis.
The Justice League has never faced anything like this before.
And they have to figure out how to deal with it fast.
They're scrambling, trying to coordinate a response.
But even Red Tornado, who's like the master strategist,
even he's overwhelmed.
it's like they're playing catch-up from the very beginning.
And they're doing it with a team that's still not fully formed.
Right. There are so many heroes, so many different personalities.
It's like trying to herd cats.
And then you have Airwave right in the middle of it all.
He's carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders.
Literally, he's the reason these creatures are here.
And he's trying to fix it, but he's also terrified of making things worse.
It's like a classic hero's dilemma.
The burden of responsibility.
But he's not the only one with problems.
Right. We still have Inferno out there.
Those guys are like a constant thorn in the Justice League side.
They're always lurking in the shadows, waiting to strike.
And they're still determined to get their hands on that power-disrupting alloy.
Like they're obsessed with it.
So now the Justice League is dealing with 2 major threats at the same time.
The creatures from another dimension.
And Inferno with their crazy technology.
It's like a two-front war.
And they're spread thin trying to handle both of them.
But they have to because the stakes are higher than ever.
If they don't stop those creatures, they'll overrun the planet.
And if they don't stop Inferno, who knows what they'll do with that alloy.
It's like a ticking time bomb.
And the clock is running out.
But there's one moment in this issue that really stood out to me.
Which one?
It's when Batman sees those creatures up close for the first time.
Oh, yeah, in Costa Rica.
Yeah, and he's like visibly shaken.
Which is rare for Batman.
Right. He's usually so stoic and in control.
But these creatures, they're different.
They're like nothing he's ever seen before.
They represent something truly unknown and terrifying.
And even Batman, the world's greatest detective, is scared.
It's a really powerful moment.
It shows just how serious this threat is.
And it sets the stage for the final confrontation.
Where the Justice League has to go all out.
They converge on the island where the portal is.
And Airwave is right in the center of it.
He's trying to close the portal, but it's not easy.
Those creatures are fighting back with everything they've got.
It's a chaotic battle with heroes and monsters clashing everywhere.
And Airwave is pushing his powers to the limit.
He's never had to control this much energy before.
But he knows he has to do it.
He has to close that portal.
And in a truly epic moment,
He does.
he manages to focus his powers and slam that portal shut.
It's a huge victory.
But it comes at a cost.
Airwave is completely drained.
He's exhausted. He's barely conscious.
But he saved the world.
He did what had to be done.
It's a powerful moment of redemption.
And it shows that even when we make mistakes,
We can still find a way to make things right.
but the story doesn't end there.
Right, there's still some loose ends.
Inferno is still out there.
And we don't know what they're planning.
And even though the portal is closed,
Those creatures have left their mark on the world.
there's a sense that things have changed.
That the world is a little bit darker now.
And that the Justice League.
They're going to have to be even stronger to face the challenges ahead.
So we started this deep dive with Wonder Woman saying, unbelievable.
And that pretty much sums up this whole issue.
It was an unbelievable start to a new era for the Justice League.
With unbelievable challenges.
And unbelievable consequences.
But also unbelievable heroism.
It was a roller coaster ride from beginning to end.
And I can't wait to see what happens next.
Me neither. This is just the beginning of Justice League Unlimited.
And it's going to be epic.
So if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Cosmic Comic Clips.
We've got a whole multiverse of comic book content waiting for you.
And we'd love to have you join us on this journey.
So until next time, keep exploring the infinite possibilities of the comic book universe.